So, what is Anytype exactly? Anytype is a productivity and note-taking app where you can build your second brain, manage projects, and organize your life in general. It is similar to other apps like Notion and Obsidian, but it has some amazing features which make it stand out. For example, unlike Notion, Anytype is offline first, meaning you can work without internet and sync your data with other devices when internet is back. And this syncing is encrypted and peer-to-peer, which means only you have access to your data. Also, Anytype will soon become open source, meaning it will be free and available forever. And it's only in beta now, but already has most of the functions productivity apps should have. It also has a graph view like in Obsidian, which allows you to see your whole system on one page. And yeah, it has a lot more to come, but let's see how it works first. The workflow in Anytype is a bit different from other apps, and at first it feels a bit overcomplicated and unusual, especially if you come from Notion, for example. But when you start diving in, it becomes more logical actually. So it is similar to other productivity apps in a way that it's also block-based and object-based. There is an object and it can have blocks inside of it. Blocks like text, list, organizational tools, attachments linked to their objects, and a new thing called relations. So what are relations? Relations are like tags, properties, attributes, and some other definitions of the same thing. In a nutshell, they're used to define some properties of an object. And the cool thing is that you can add any relations to any object, and I will explain why it's cool now. Usually in productivity apps, properties are only added to the objects in a database, and if you have two different databases, for tasks and notes for example, these two databases will have a repeating property of date, but you couldn't see all the objects with the property date in one view. However, in Anytype, properties can be reused, so you won't need to create a unique property called date every time, and you also could see all the objects from different databases which have the property date, and I will show some examples of use cases later. So now, when we know what relations are, it's easier to explain another Anytype's term called type. Type is the main relation of an object, which defines its nature. Every object has some kind of type, and it defines, well, the type of an object. Objects can have a type called task, or note, or diary, project, school subject, and so on. It usually defines the purpose of the object, but it can be anything you want really. Coming from Notion, I like to think about types as databases, but much more freely. Like in Notion, I had a database for people, and in Anytype, I have a type human. Same goes for university subjects, places, tasks, areas, and so on. So what about databases then? And yes, databases are also available here, even two types of them. They're called collections and sets. Collections are old-fashioned databases, or just folders with objects, and I use them a lot. They can filter and sort objects inside of it, have different views like grid view, list view, gallery view, Kanban view, and probably more later. And there is an inverted version of collections called set. Sets are able to filter objects according to one relation, including types, across the whole system. So it can show you every object with a type called task, or every object with a relation called date, and so on, which is very useful when objects with that one relation are spread across your whole system. The best example of it is a set of tasks. I like to write them down exactly where I thought about it. Like, when I write down information on a page of my future trip, I write their tasks related to this topic. And with sets, I can see all of the tasks I need to do from every area of my system. Both collections and sets are great tools, and I use them both. And that's it about the structure of Anytype, actually. Now, when you know how it works, let's see it on practice. Now I will show you the system I came up with, and in the end I will explain how to import this template to your Anytype, so you can start using it straight away, without the need to create everything from scratch. So, everything is located in my dashboard. I thought a lot about the perfect structure for the second brain to avoid it becoming overcomplicated. So I came up with three main elements of my system: knowledge, databases, and areas. Knowledge is where I collect all self-improvement information which can make my life and life of every other person better. I'm still heavily working on it and will post something from it when I gather enough information to share. However, in terms of structure, it's actually the simplest page. All the information in these topics is mostly text, with some formatting for better understanding. So let's move on to databases. And databases is the hub of most of the objects I have in my system. Here I store in collections most of the things I need in my everyday life. Global collections are collections with objects I refer to from all around my system. However, local collections are for databases which are only used in one place. For example, I won't refer to university subjects from anywhere else. There is no actual difference between local and global on a software level. I just made it to be more convenient for me. And then comes the sets. For now I only have a set for tasks, set for everything with a date, and set for documents. But I'm sure there will be more, so let's move on. In Dashboard there is a link to Personal Knowledge Management. It's a link to one of the areas. It's my notes about all this second brain setup thingy, including information and my thoughts about Anytype and my system. That's why it's on the dashboard for a quick access. Anyway, so let's dive right into areas. Here I store all the information about the things which I'm interested in, which are not essential for everyone to know, so they are not in knowledge. I will show some examples of areas that you might want to use too. For example, cooking. There are two pages currently, products and recipes. Products show the list of all products I usually buy at shop. When I'm in the shop, I open Anytype on my phone, see what products are unchecked and buy them. Then, when I run out of them, I mark them as unchecked again to not forget to buy them at store next time. Also, as every product is an object, I could later write down more information about each one while learning about nutrition. In recipes, there is a list of dishes I can cook and a list of ingredients needed for each one. And according to the amount of available products, I can decide what to cook. Unfortunately, there's no way for now to filter the products which are not available. Probably they will add it later. And another great example of the system is trips. In Live and Travel area, there are trips collection, and in the relation where, I can select the country where I'm going. It refers to the objects in a database called places. So later I can see all trips to this country. Also, if I open one of the trips, like Helsinki, I will see all the information regarding the trip. Here is a packing list referring to the database called Things, with the ability to check off packed things. Below I can input the documents, tickets and other stuff I would need in the trip. And in the bottom there is a diary memories section. If I write some diary notes about my travel during the period of the trip, they will appear there and I could read them after the trip. I only need to filter the time frame of the trip. And that's all about the object, so let me share a little tip about relations. As I have relations which are specific to some database and relations which are reusable, I mark all the specific relations with an S dot, name of the database, and then the name of the relation itself. Probably later Anytype will allow to separate these two kinds on a software level, so that specific relations don't show up when they're not needed. Of course, this setup is not perfect and you will most likely need to adjust it to your needs. I will continue working on my system and share new versions eventually. Yeah, unfortunately, for now, Anytype still has some bugs and limitations in functionality, like lack of bulk editing, which makes managing huge systems less convenient. But it's still in closed beta, so it's totally understandable. And I believe that after a public launch and posting the source code, the development will become much faster. And I think it will blow up and hype. So I suggest you start using it right now. So, now about importing this to your system. The link to download the files will be in the description. Open Anytype, press File, then Import, or open Settings menu and Import. Select Protobuf and choose the zip file you downloaded. It will import the template, and that's it. I deleted all the personal information from the templates, but left the structure like types, relations, and probably some examples. So go ahead and try it out